All right. I am here to talk to you about UFC Vegas 49. I'm sitting in my fucking car like a psychopath. I'm decided to sit at the library. Figure there's decent people here. Nobody will give me shit, and they'll look the other way if they see me talking to my phone in my car, resting on a fucking tissue box. All right. UFC Vegas 49. I'm going to give a little, whatever, my thoughts on each fight, and then a prediction right after I'm done talking about each fight. And if you wanted to just listen to my prediction or specifically me talk about any fight, you can drag your finger or mouse pad or whatever it is across the bottom, the time bar, and you'll be able to see in the description what I'm talking about. You know, that there'll be some white text, whatever the fuck. I'm sure you've seen it before. All right. Anyway, also at the end, or even throughout the whole thing, I'm going to give my bets. Really, I'll just, at the end, I'll talk about what I'm going to be betting on. But you'll be able to tell my thoughts on each fight from when I talk about them. Starting now. Islam versus Bobby. That's the main event. Islam Makhachev versus Bobby Green. Bobby Green, he's taking this fight on short notice, but he was a fresh fighter just 2 weeks ago, and he kicked some serious ass against Nasrat Haqparast at UFC 271, I think. I don't even know the card. I think it was the pay-per-view. Anyway, yes, it was. It was on pay-per-view. This is Islam's fight. Still, Bobby Green's a really good fighter. He presents a lot of challenges. None unique, though, I want to say. He's got a lot of great traits as a fighter. He's comfortable as fuck, more comfortable than I'm sure Islam is, but Islam is just another beast. He's a big fucking wrestling machine with not many weaknesses. We've seen him lose one fight in which he was cracked. He was about to be knocked unconscious, but he was cracked and stopped by Adriano Martinez. And look, Bobby Green has good striking, better striking than Adriano Martinez, certainly better hands, but I don't know. I'm betting on Islam to win a decision here. Spoiler, I'll just give my prediction at the top. I'm going with Islam to win a decision. Bobby Green, you know, even if he was better, bigger knockout puncher, I still wouldn't favor him in this fight. Not even close to favoring him. You know, it's a big fucking hill to climb. I think Islam is the best lightweight in the world at this point. I would pick him to beat anybody. Charles Oliveira presents a very unique challenge. I'd love to see him fight Charles, actually. I'd still probably favor Islam, although I haven't really given it that much thought yet. But, yeah, Bobby Green, he's a great wrestler himself. Great wrestler. He's got good jiu-jitsu, and his striking has turned out to be phenomenal. But Islam Makhachev can fight for 25 minutes, although I don't know if he has. He hasn't, but he can. I'm sure of it. If he's getting finishes in the fourth round over guys like Thiago Moises, he can definitely get a 5-round decision. But he's relentless. He's going to get in on Bobby. You know, he doesn't really shoot as much as Khabib, whatever. You know, Islam's wrestling, but he's going to get in there. And once they clinch up, Bobby's going to be no match for Islam Makhachev. That's just what I think. That's probably what you think. So, surprise, surprise, I'm going with Islam Makhachev via wide decision. I think it'll be, you know, mostly 50-45s, but I'm thinking he's going to have some dominance, largely positional dominance. You know, Bobby Green's a survivor, no doubt. As for betting on that fight, I do think it's worth putting $5 on Bobby Green to win, probably via finish. I don't think a decision's possible, although you get better odds with a decision. But yeah, that's not a fight I'm betting on. Misha Cirkunov versus Wellington Turman. This is a very compelling fight. It's not a great fight, certainly not worthy of co-main event at this point, but it's a very good matchup for both guys. And I don't mean that like it's favorable for either one of them. That's to be determined on fight night, but it's really good for both guys. Misha Cirkunov is a bigger man. He's going to be, and he's just a better, bigger, better athlete than just about anybody in the division. Wellington Turman's a smaller guy. He's younger. I think like 8 years younger. He's 25, and Misha's 33. But I don't know. Misha Cirkunov has a lot of holes in his game. The biggest one being his chin. Second one being his forehead, where he got knocked out by Volkan Oezdemir. And the third one being his heart. I've seen him get hurt, and look, I'm only comparing him to other fighters. If I was in that situation, I'd be tapping out from just the sight of my opponent. But he quits, he folds. I'm such a big fan of MMA, it kills me to say that about somebody, but he folds. And he does. We've seen it with a lot of great fighters, but still, offensively, he is a very difficult test for a lot of guys. He brings a lot to the table, and he can beat very good fighters too, which we've seen, plenty of times. Taking out Ivan Kutelaba, Nikolai Krylov, whatever. And, he's a very good fighter, but it's just lately too, he's only gotten older since he was getting those victories. That was 4 or 5 years ago, whatever at this point, or 3 or 4 years ago. And now he's at a point at which everybody in the division knows this guy, if his chin doesn't fold for him, his mind will fold. You have to put it on this guy. And believe me, that's what Wellington Turman's thinking. Turman also trains with Glover Teixeira, who's one of the guys who took out Misha Cirkunov. Although that was one fight in which his chin didn't give and his mind didn't give. He didn't quit on himself. That was just Glover being too good for him. Although Misha fucked up Glover and hurt him earlier in that round. It was such a short fight, but then after that, Glover Teixeira got on top, and it was just jiu-jitsu, positional dominance, and Misha was done. But, yeah, his chin is still a question. Wellington Turman, his power is questionable, at best. He's got, I think his last knockout was, I don't know, fucking years and years ago, and it was over a guy that was 0-11. It was over me, essentially. So, take that with a grain of salt. But still, again, he's training with Glover Teixeira, and we've seen him fight. He's big and strong. He's got to have enough power to make Misha Cirkunov question what he's doing. It's just, can he pour it on? Can he overwhelm him? I'm not sure if he's going to have that knockout power where he can knock him out of the fight, but he might be able to, discourage Misha and take over the fight, just being the younger buck. But in the end, this is all just, this is a tough one. I'm going with Misha Cirkunov, and I think he's going to get violent and get a finish here. I don't see him getting a submission over Wellington Turman, even though Misha's a really good submission artist. I know Misha can hurt Wellington Turman, but I think he'll be more confident on the ground than standing up at range, even though he's the bigger, longer fighter. But I'm going with Misha Cirkunov to get a ground and pound finish. Really just a KO, may as well call it KO, TKO if you're betting. But generally speaking, I like this fight being finished. I can't even say I like the odds, because the odds I see for this one are the over-under is set at 1.5 rounds. In the past, I've said that's always a lock with Misha Cirkunov, and you're getting plus money here. I think it's still probably worth a bet, but I see Misha Cirkunov having a grappling advantage and looking to impose it. And I'm not sure if that'll produce a finish submission-wise, even though Misha, much like a lot of great knockout artists where, hey, the guy's never been knocked out, I'll knock him out. Misha Cirkunov's a guy that can tap out anybody, I think. I think he's got really good submissions. And, of course, not anybody, but anybody in the UFC. And it's certainly possible you could see that. In general, I like the under, but I'm going to take Misha Cirkunov via TKO round 1. We'll see what happens. Next up, Priscilla Cachoeira versus Ji-Yeon Kim. This is a weird one. Priscilla Cachoeira is a problem for anybody in round one. Now, Jeon Kim is a very comfortable fighter. She's, I can't even say she's got great cardio, to be honest. I don't think either one of these girls has great cardio. And really looking into the fight, I don't think Jeon Kim really ever won a third round in the UFC, aside from her fight with Justine Kish. Shit. All right. That was a reference to her shitting all over the octagon floor. That was like 2 years ago. Okay. I think Priscilla Cachoeira is a good bet here. Not a great bet, but, she's worth something. You're getting her at plus 140. I like her to win the fight. I really can't even say whether it'd be a decision or knockout. I know she's going to bring hell in round one, and most of her wins come via knockout. But I also think Jeon Kim is not going to be imposing her wrestling on Priscilla Cachoeira. She's not going to be able to. She's not some tank like Molly McCann. And Priscilla Cachoeira, even though I question her hard, it's not like she's the, greatest survivor in the world either, even though we've seen her take a beating, especially in her first UFC fight against Valentina. But I think she's going to be much more comfortable in this fight, probably have success in round one just because of the nature of her fighting game and her physicality. And after that, it's a matter of survival, and she's already up one round. I do generally expect Jeon Kim to win the latter portion of the fight. But again, like I said, she's only won one round 3 in her entire career in the UFC. And with Priscilla Cachoeira's power, of course, it's enough to change a round, if not knock someone out. But I'm betting on her here. I like her odds at plus 140. And my pick will be Priscilla Cachoeira. Unanimous decision. Let's go with. That's a weird one. Let's make it knockout round 1. My point is I like her as a bet. But to give an official prediction, I guess I'd rather be on record saying knockout via round 1. But still, watch if it goes to a decision. It's not like she's fighting, this isn't someone that's going to be on top of her every round. I don't think so. All right, Arman Tsarukyan versus Joel Alvarez. This is probably the hardcore's main event of the evening. This is an incredible fight. You could put this on the main card of a pay-per-view and I wouldn't be complaining at all. Tsarukyan is a very good fucking fighter, wrestling based. We saw him in that debut, I believe it was short notice, against Islam Makhachev, main event tonight, for this event. And he looked awesome in defeat. He gave hell to Islam. I can't say he even stole a round, but he stole many positions and gave Islam hell. He was a lot of trouble, especially in the wrestling department, and it was a pleasure to watch. Since then, he hasn't been, he's been somewhat active, but he hasn't made waves like I expected him to. He's still done very well in the UFC. He's kicked a lot of ass. Great fighters, good fighters, I should say, Matt Frivola, etc. But this one here, Joel Alvarez has everybody's attention after knocking out Thiago Moises. Not to mention tapping out a few guys, Joe Duffy and whoever. But Joel is one of the most exciting prospects. I can't say he's the best or whatever because he's got that loss to Damir Ismagulov. But generally speaking, a finisher like that who's, really good on the ground, that's Joel Alvarez's specialty. He's a submission artist. But to get a knockout victory over a contender like Moises with your hands and every fucking which limb possible, every possible limb, I think it opened a lot of eyes, and he's got a lot of support here. This is his next fight after that one, so this could take some steam out, because generally speaking, Tsarukyan is going to be winning I can't even say for sure, but I expect him to win the positional battle. And if it goes to a decision, it's probably going to Tsarukyan. In fact, that's my position, Tsarukyan. Even though he's 3 inches shorter, that might help him with the takedowns. But, he's many inches shorter. He's I don't even know how many inches shorter. But he's 3 inches shorter than Damir, who's able to impose, well, he's got a better striking game, but also his grappling game, his wrestling on Joel Alvarez. You know, Joel Alvarez is a guy where you need to have that advantage, wrestling either defensively or offensively. You need an advantage on him because he's like that Nogueira, Nick Diaz type of guy, just really good on his feet, really good on the ground, on his back too. So, really looking for Alvarez to win. Probably going to sprinkle something on it, to be honest. I don't think these odds... And look, to win a decision, like I said, it's not very low percentage because, you know, you see those fights where the guy that has a distinct wrestling disadvantage but is so good everywhere else can win a decision. He can win a decision. Like your classic Nogueira versus Couture. And that's generally what I see with Joel Alvarez. He's got a lot of that decision-winning capability. But, you know, you just have to assume the majority of the decisions these guys would go to would be in favor of Arman Tsarukyan. I'll sprinkle something on Joel Alvarez because I do think there's a decision possibility there, and the finish should come to Joel. I think, even though he's much more of a submission artist, I think his hands early in the fight could, you know, work for him. And I do think there's definitely a value bet, so to speak, on Joel Alvarez winning. But I'm betting Tsarukyan. I'm predicting Tsarukyan via unanimous decision. Next up, Gregory Rodrigues versus Armen Petrosian. Okay. I really like Gregory Rodrigues, mainly because he looks like he's 65 years old, and he's like 30. He's 30 years old, I believe. He's a very competent MMA fighter, versatile, grappler, which hopefully we're going to see here in this fight, and I predict we will. And he's also got KOs, a lot of KOs lately. He's definitely got the power. But he's up against a guy that I think could KO him. This guy, Armen Petrosian, not that kickboxer, but another guy, Armen Petrosian. He's all KOs so far in the UFC. Not in the UFC, in MMA. And he just looks like a decent guy. You know, okay, that was a note I made for Gregory Rodrigues. I was going to say Petrosian was in Fight Pass grappling events. That was for Gregory Rodrigues recently. But my point is, and that's another point I wanted to get to, Gregory Rodrigues is keeping his grappling sharp, and he's going to need to. He's going to need grappling to win this fight, and he's going to have to take that neck and choke him out. That's what I think, because, I don't know, Rodrigues just seems like one of those guys, and again, it's partly because he looks like he's 65. He's got Nogueira syndrome. It just looks like he's going to have a hard time winning a 3-round fight, especially against a guy that can explode at any moment and fucking kill him. I also think Gregory Rodrigues has heart, as we saw in his last fight. He was about to get knocked out, and then he got the knockout. He's a very, very dangerous man, every which way. But he's going to need to impose his grappling early in this fight and get a submission, I think, within the first 2 rounds. Of course, he can win a decision if he's winning 2 rounds, but my point is, I don't trust him, even against an older guy like this guy here. He's a younger fighter with a lot less experience, and this just, it's dangerous. Generally speaking, I can't say I like the under because I'm not even sure where the line is set, but I like a finish in this fight. And my prediction is Gregory Rodrigues via submission in round 2. Could be wrong, but that's where I'm going. Next up, Ignacio Bahomondes versus Rong Zhu Rong. I think it's just Zhu Rong, but whatever. I think, whatever. All right. This is a very interesting fight. Zhu Rong is 21 years old, which really surprised me. He's got a lot of experience for a 21-year-old. He's got a lot of power, carries it late as well as early, but he carries it late, which makes him a fighter I'm more inclined to like. He's got a lot of heart. A lot of heart. Showed that in round 3 against Cachoeira Vargas in the UFC. Ignacio Bahomondes, I mean, he's a kicker, as we all know. He's a kicker. He's going to want this at kicking range. And he's a very promising fighter, but I'm not sure. You know, I worry about this guy. Not only him getting knocked out, I worry about him being on the wrong end of a lot of tight decisions, which we saw when he fought John Makdessi. He fought John Makdessi, and John Makdessi won that fight. And a lot of it, I thought, was Bahamondes. Not, you know, it's like his posture, his demeanor, the way he fights. He's too welcoming. And I just see opportunities for a lot of fighters to steal decisions from him over time. You know, but Rong Zhu, too, you know, he's got that power. You know, if Bahamondes is too, you know, upright, just worried about, you know, some spinning attack or whatever with his legs or some rangy attack, he can get clipped. Rong Zhu can fucking attack this guy and clip him and knock him out. Not that he's ever been knocked out, but I like a lot of opportunities here for Rong Zhu. I'm betting against him. I'm betting on Ignacio to win a rare decision. But, I mean, I'm predicting that, but I'm not betting on it. In fact, I'm betting on Rong Zhu. Because Rong Zhu's very tough. He hasn't been knocked out. And Bahamondes, you know, he's, I feel like he needs that. He needs not a knockout in the fight, but he needs a striking advantage, a distinct striking advantage. And when he's fighting a guy that's much shorter than him and much younger and whatever, he's going to want to, you know, he's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to be very careful because he's, even though he's very young himself, he's too upright. He's way too fucking upright. And I think, again, if it won't cost his chin, won't cost him with a knockout loss, it will cost him decisions over time. And that's what I'm betting on. I'm betting on Rong Zhu. I think there's a bet on him on the money line. And because, I can't say that I really worry about Bahamondes' chin because I've seen him cracked or whatever. I worry more about his the ability of him to lose a decision, because he's too welcoming and not taking command of the octagon. So I think I'd play the money line on Rong Zhu. And it's plus 200 or something like that. There's definitely a bet there. But my prediction will be Ignacio's too good for him on the feet, but can't put him away. That was a long rant. Next up, Ziam Nunes versus Romana Pascual. I'm going with Nunes to win this fight. I'm going with Nunes via KO. She's, you know, a monster as a bantamweight, a monster. This fight's going to take place at featherweight because Romana Pascual's taking this fight on very short notice. She's got the size, obviously. She's a big girl. She's got a lot of size and a lot of, reach. But she's overwhelmed a lot of shitty fighters. That's where her success comes from on the regional scene. And I just think Ziam Nunes is, at this point, a very seasoned fighter. She's got UFC experience, and she's deadly. She's got deadly power that carries throughout the fight. I'm predicting and betting on Ziam getting a knockout over Romana Pascual. Pascual, like I said, she's big, but she's been fighting bums. Doesn't really have a decent victory. And when you watch her fight, she's not impressive. She's going to be too slow, and she's going to get hurt here. And I do think she can, do a little stalling, use her size up against the cage, maybe try to wear down Ziam Nunes, but I don't see that working. Maybe over the course of, maybe with a better training camp, she could do that and have the cardio to, hold that together, withstand all of Ziam Nunes. But I just see that maybe happening for one round and then her getting knocked out. I'm predicting Nunes gets a second round knockout. That's my pick. And my bet, too. My bet would be Nunes via knockout altogether. because it could easily come in round 1. But my prediction is it'll come in round 2. And then Terrence McKinney versus Perez Ziam. I'm going with McKinney on this one. I think McKinney is a very promising fighter. I can't say he's going to get a knockout here, but the most of his wins, the overwhelming majority, come via first-round knockout. He's put a lot of guys away in seconds, including Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola is a very good fighter, but boom, that was over and done in 7 seconds, I think. He's McKinney's he's always going to be powerful. We've seen him with impose a grappling game plan somewhat successfully, or definitely successfully, against Sean Woodson, but that was for 1 round. Then he was knocked out in the middle of the second. But still, he's a very capable fighter. He's got some submissions. He's got a round 3 heel hook. That's his latest victory. Not latest, most recent, but the latest he's ever gone in a fight, aside from decisions, and it was him winning a heel hook in round 3. So, and that was over a pretty competent fighter too, I believe. So McKinney is he's no joke, and he's in the UFC for a reason. Of course, he's going to stick around after getting that first knockout. For us, Ziam, he's good. He's going to have a strong round 1, probably, or I can't say so against McKinney. McKinney's really known for a strong round 1, but so is Ziam. You know, he's weak in round 3, though. Weak in round 3. He robbed Jamie Mullarkey, in which Mullarkey won round 3, in my opinion. And I just see Firas Ziam being a good fighter, but he's not there yet. He's too skinny and too relatively weak, and he's too young. And even though Terrence McKinney is no spring chicken either, I mean, he's no older guy. He is a spring chicken, whatever the fuck. But he's not 23 years old. And actually, I have to see what he is. I feel like he's like 26. But anyway, Terrence McKinney is, I think, favored to win in a finish or a decision here. Doesn't matter if it goes to a decision. I'd favor Terrence McKinney. I think McKinney's been taken out with Sean Woodson, knocked him out, and fucking Derek Minner choked him out with a triangle choke in a minute. I don't see Firas Ziam being able to do either one of those things. And grappling-wise, Ziam doesn't impress me. He's got, you know, a good shot. He's had some success wrestling, but he was just out-wrestled by a few different fighters. Certainly Jamie Mullarkey, I thought. And again, this is a very tight fight, you know, very tight odds, but I'm going with McKinney to win, and I'm betting on McKinney. I'm betting on McKinney money line. I'm waiting to see the odds for the McKinney knockout in round 1 prop bet. But generally speaking, my pick is McKinney to win. I'm taking him via unanimous decision. Next up, Jinh Frey versus Hannah Goldy. This is an interesting fight here. You know, these girls are both very tough. We've seen toughness. Jinh Frey lost once in round 3 to Kay Hansen with an armbar. And that was a fight in which she was winning, I believe, the first 2 rounds. She's got good cardio, despite the Hansen loss. And I believe she's a little bigger than Hannah Goldy. Hannah Goldy's a very tough fighter. We've seen her take it, you know, from Deanna Belbita, Jillian Robertson, and Callie Robbins. And Hannah Goldy, she's won round 3 against all 3 of those fighters. She's and Callie Robbins, by the way, was the Contender Series fight. And we saw her get an armbar in her last fight over Emily Whitmire, which, not that I'm predicting that'll happen here, but when her one submission victory in the UFC is the same as Jinh Frey's submission loss in the UFC, it just adds an element to this, where, hey, there might be an opening there. Generally, I'm going with Jinh Frey via decision. I expect her to outpoint Hannah Goldy, but I do think Hannah Goldy can win a decision, and as I mentioned, there's the Hail Mary armbar. At plus 155, I'll be betting, sprinkling on Hannah Goldy. Believe me. She's absolutely worth it at that rate. I don't think this is a, some 3-2 underdog. I slightly favor Jin Frey, but like I said, I think Hannah Goldy's maybe a little tougher, and definitely if it goes to a decision, she can win one. She can fight her way. She's a brawler too when she needs to be. So that's what I'm going with. Jin Frey via split decision is my pick. Next up, Alejandro Perez versus Jonathan Martinez. I'm going with Jonathan Martinez via unanimous decision. I think he's going to strike from the outside and get the better of Perez, but Perez is a scrapper. He's a real scrapper. He's tough himself, really tough to put away. He was knocked out by Song Yadong 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. But that's Song Yadong. He's got unique power for the division. Jonathan Martinez is more of a slick striker. He's a volume guy. He's an at-range guy. And I think, generally speaking, he wins this fight at range. That's where they're going to be fighting, and it'll be Jonathan Martinez's fight. Long strikes and low kicks. But Perez is a scrapper, and he's got a real knack for making things close. He's not going to just fold, and he's going to be trying to win each round. Maybe he'll have some success. Again, I'm going Martinez unanimous decision. Betting-wise, I'm staying away from it. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Michael Gillmore. I already made a video on this one. I'll be betting on Brahimaj to win via submission. Or really, the under is all that's available for me now. Under 2.5 rounds. But I have to see the prop bets, which I'm waiting to see. I was actually looking to see them before I made this video, but then I said, all right, fuck it. Let me just fucking, whatever, make this video. Brahimaj wins via submission. Round 1 is my pick. I don't trust Michael Gillmore. I don't really trust Brahimaj, but I really don't trust Michael Gillmore. He's a 35-year-old guy whose heart it may not be into it. Brahimaj is a younger guy whose heart is definitely into it. Did I say fart? I fucking hope not. He's submitted better fighters than Michael Gillmore already, and Michael Gillmore, he's just done. This is going to be it for him. He's a guy who stepped up when they needed him on the UFC Ultimate Fighter last season, and I'm glad he's gotten some shine out of it and some UFC fights, some exposure. I don't know what he's going to do with his MMA career, but I'm already talking like it's over, his UFC career. I would absolutely bet on that if I were you. The under minus 145. That's under 2.5 rounds, which I think is a lock. Even if Gillmore takes advantage of the fight, who knows? You're hedging the bet with him getting a finish. But also, I want to see the odds for Brahimaj to win via finish and to win via submission. Because even though I expect a submission, that's the only way Michael Gillmore's lost. He's, if you get the back on somebody's back, the TKO can come almost just as easily as the submission. All right. Up last is Victor Altamirano versus Carlos Hernandez. I'm going with Hernandez. These are both Contender Series guys making their debuts. They both won split decisions on the Contender Series, scratched and clawed, but I like Hernandez a little better. I don't know. I just I feel like there might be a wrestling advantage there, even though I can't say for sure. These guys are both scrappy scramblers, really tough to dominate, but Altamirano has 4 losses, 3 amateur losses and 1 regular loss in his pro career, and all 4 losses are via rear naked choke. And Carlos Hernandez, he's got rear naked chokes over shit competition, but he's got some rear naked chokes. Again, it's just some math where that's kind of like the bet hedger. Maybe he'll win via submission. But I'm generally going with Carlos Hernandez. I think these guys, I really have to see them fight against other fighters I know. This is like the first step in understanding them as a fighter. This is probably step 2, this fight. But I'm going with Carlos Hernandez. I can't say I'm going to be betting on it. I'll probably be betting on him to win a decision. But I'm going with him. I'm inclined to pick him for this fight. All right, so let me go through my bets. These are the final bets. I'm going with Brahimaj versus Gillmore under, and I'm going with Brahimaj via TKO or via submission or finish. Could be round 1 finish. I have to see those odds before I go with them, but generally speaking, I'll be betting on Brahimaj to win via submission. The only official bet right now is Brahimaj Gillmore under 2.5 rounds, minus 145. Terrence McKinney money line, which I had at plus 105. I see it's down to minus 105. Probably go back up and fluctuate, but just know he's about even money, a slight underdog. Terrence McKinney, I really like the money line. You get the first round knockout possibility and the decision, which I think is going to go his way if we see one. And Nunes via knockout. Can't say it's round 1 or 2, but I'm going with Josiane Nunes to win via knockout over the UFC newcomer. It's going to be a moment where Romana Pascual feels the power and says, fuck, this is different. And then there's going to be another moment where she says, fuck, this fight is long, 15 minutes. And that's going to be the end of the fight. Probably not that. I don't think she'll quit, but she could quit, but she's going to get knocked out. That's what I think. And those are my... Oh, and I'm going to sprinkle something on Cachoeira to win via round 1. Rongju to win a decision. Hannah Goldy to win a decision. And Joel Alvarez, the money line. Those are my bets. These have been my predictions. Thank you for fucking tuning in. Enjoy the fights.